It is not for us to sit in the space between a man and a cat's dreams, though they both long for the same hearth, softly soothed by warm afternoon hands. Hi, my name is Marc Nair and I'm a poet and photographer. I've been writing for about 15 years now, taking photographs for 10 years. I've published 7 books of poetry. I was always interested in reading, and I guess I read so much that the words needed somewhere to go. To me, reading and writing is two halves of the same coin. Poetry is like that in that sense. You can't quite tell your poem what to do. It has its own mind. The poem announces, when you start writing it, it announces to me, hey, I'm meant for a big stage, or hey, this is for somebody, or hey, I should be a song, turn me into a song. Honestly, inspiration is just a small part of it. The large part is the discipline to sit down, to write, and then to rewrite, and then to rewrite, and to edit again and again until you have something that's of worth. I started with spoken word poetry and then I moved to the page. But even in the page, I feel that poems still retain that ability to speak to the reader. The other aspect of why spoken word is still very powerful to me is that you engage with your audience in a very immediate way. You're performing a poem, people laugh, they come up to you after the show, say that was great. Well, there's an instant feedback, instant gratification, and it means that you're visibly able to impact people. And I think that's very affirmative for a poet. It's not so much the fact that I have to perform to an audience, but the fact that my words have to live up to some kind of standard. I've performed in front of thousands of people, I've performed in front of 5 people. I think it doesn't matter the size of the audience. And when you understand it's not about the size of the audience, but the size of your heart and how much you have to give, you could get more out of that 5 people in the audience than you get out of 5,000 people. So a lot of my poems are made based on observations of a moment. One of the things I look for is the idea of juxtaposition, the idea of contrast, the idea of something almost conflicting within the frame. And that creates interest for me. What do you do with what you see? Do you choose to interpret it? Does it come in the form of a photograph? Do you write it down? Do you reflect on it? And people deal with that in different ways. So I just deal with it through writing. So Life on Mars originated from a class that I did. Often I start by asking people about what was the last book they read or what they're currently reading. Strangely enough, there's one girl who was very insistent that she hated reading but loved writing, and I didn't quite understand that. So that really bugged me, and the poem actually talks about kind of what happened as well as my own interior kind of thoughts about it. Life on Mars. Dear student, you were very excited about the prospect of writing a poem in my class. Somehow a poem was a challenge you hadn't yet conquered, like climbing Mount Kinabalu or eating 10 Big Macs one after another. But when I asked everyone what was the last book they had read, you proudly proclaimed that you hate reading but love writing. Why? Because I have no time to read, you said. Books are so thick and heavy and difficult. Movies are easier? Much easier. Why do people still write books anyway? You asked. I have 7 books, I said. That's nice, but does anyone buy your books? Is it possible for someone to make their way through life without a book? Could it be that between the covers of life, there is no space for any other narrative? Not even a manual? Well, not that manuals are ever written to be read. They're just like unnecessary plastic wrapping. Nothing really needs instruction nowadays. It's all plug and play, but not books. Books need time. And if you go beyond the page, aren't we all human libraries? We read each other every day, some more closely than others. We are a compendium of notes, photocopied ideas, fragments of equations in point form. Our dog-eared chapters jostle for space in bookshelves we hastily hammer to the wall when we need a place to keep overflowing episodes of angst and joy. And a book is the compassion of a life observed, a small world. I don't know how large you want your universe to be, but I want to have galaxies in me when I die. I want wishing stars to find their dreams and distant veins for supernovas to explode my head in haiku. I want every orbiting moon to carry a tune, to find new life forms in the caverns and seas of Mars. Let there be aliens crawling out of my toes and unnamed nebulae in my spleen. I want to be unknown, ever expanding, a story that goes on and on. So I gave you a photograph of a funny-looking cow to inspire your poem. And you wrote about grass, without a sense of story or structure or grammar, without guile, but also without a care. Like people who carry see-through handbags to prove they have nothing to hide, that the contents of our lives are so undistinguished, we should all be viewed through clear plastic, because there is no story that's worth telling. So move along, dear poetry teacher. There's no such thing as life on Mars.